And I'm sorry, that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another live edition of the Hard Rocket Sports Show, live from Higher Top Hard Rocket Sports Studios in beautiful city of Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 2-hour weekly get-together. We bring you all the biggest news from around the world of sports and music. Guys, welcome to Thursday night, April the 3rd. That's right, we're into April already in the year of our good Lord 2025, and I am stoked for another Thursday night show. We are a couple weeks away, about 3 weeks away from the NFL draft show, which I love to do. I've been talking draft with my boys, Matt and Frank and Jeff, and we're excited. Now, I don't know if those guys are going to pop on with us, but Jeff and I will be here on April the 26th or 27th to do a live 2-hour. We'll get through the first 7 picks for sure, maybe get the first 10 picks in like we try to do every year. Our teams will be picking 3 and 7. So we'll get to talk about our team's picks are live on the air with you guys. So hopefully you guys will come back and join Jeff and I on April 27th. The show starts at 7. We do about an hour pregame, and then we'll be on there for the live draft at 8 p.m. And like I said, we'll stay till the first 7 picks at a minimum are over. If that takes us a little late, well, take a couple of non-sleep aids. I like 5-hour energies myself. And stick around with us. We'll have a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on. First 3 picks alone are worth the wait. I mean, what will the Cleveland Browns? Listen, Titans at 1. We all know taking Cam Ward. They need a quarterback. They're taking Cam Ward. At 2, it gets interesting. I've heard trade-ups from the Cowboys. I've heard they're going to go with Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. I've heard them taking Shedeur Sanders. The Cleveland Browns, even more so than the Giants, are in a really bad bind because they desperately need a quarterback, but they're so unsure of themselves right now that I heard a rumor that they're looking to trade with the Cowboys for Dak Prescott, switch picks, and they get Prescott, which if you're Cleveland, I would do in a heartbeat. And again, not that I think Dak Prescott's a great quarterback, but he makes you legit. And you don't have to spend that pick. So if you took this draft and said I could draft Dak Prescott at number 2, you would do it. So if you can make that trade, get Dallas's number 12 or 13 pick, and come out of there with something else to help you and a legit NFL quarterback, something they haven't had yet, and get past the whole Deshaun Watson debacle. Yeah, if you're Cleveland, that's interesting. And then what do the Giants do? Do they take Shedeur Sanders? I don't think so. I think the Giants are going legit, and I think the Giants are going to try to trade back up to the first round and grab somebody now. Now, that's not to say that if Sanders slipped, and people say, oh, there's no chance. Remember, Aaron Rodgers slipped really far. Tom Brady went at number, Tom Brady wasn't as a highly recruited, and so I'll skip the Tom Brady part. But there's a lot of guys in history who have slipped, and Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and everybody thought he was going to go in and maybe in the first pick of the draft and went down near the bottom of the draft, a first round. So anything's possible. So if the Giants were to trade up to, 20 or 21 and find Dart or Sanders, I don't like Sanders. I think he's overrated. He brings too much baggage. But if I could trade up and get Dart, sure, I give up my second pick this year, next year, to get it to a guy I think might be my guy. I would also be happy taking Quinn Ewers or somebody of that ilk in the second or third round, probably third round. I know a lot of people say the Giants have to come out of this draft with their franchise quarterback. I disagree. The Giants have to come out of this draft with better players. They have to be a better team. They don't have to come out of there just with a quarterback. They have 2 quarterbacks. Are they going to be franchise quarterbacks? No. Are they going to be here for years? No. But can you get through a year with these guys? Sure. It'd be great to get their franchise quarterback in the house this year. But it probably isn't going to happen. I don't think there's a franchise quarterback here. I think the closest one, I think there's a couple of guys late that could turn it to something. I think Ward's a decent quarterback. I don't think Sanders is a great quarterback. I think he's a good athlete. I think he'll work hard. I think he brings too much baggage. And his father's going to coach him at some point. So to me, again, The Giants have to get better. They're already better at quarterback. They ended the year with Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito. Right now, they are better at quarterback than they were at the midpoint or better of last year. That's it. They're better. I'm not saying they're a good team. I'm not saying these are good quarterbacks. But these guys are at least legit NFL quarterbacks. Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito are not NFL quarterbacks. Not right now. Maybe Tommy DeVito down the line will be a good quarterback. I don't know. Today, I wouldn't want to go into my season with Tommy DeVito as my starting quarterback. Backup, maybe. So NFL draft is going to be so much fun. It'd be interesting if the Jets, if Shedeur Sanders winds up at 7, do the Jets take a flyer? I mean, they really need help other places. They do need a quarterback, and but again, the Jets can at least say, "Hey, we've got a young quarterback who's not even 28 years old. I bet you Fields is 26, 27." So the Jets could say, "Hey, we got our quarterback of the future in. We have him signed for 2 years." And they can easily go wide receiver, defensive line, maybe some secondary help. I personally, if I were them, and somebody brought this up to me, my friend Matt brought it up. Warren, the kid Ty Warren from Penn State, the tight end. I think he's a legit player. They haven't had a tight end since Mickey Schuler. So, anyway, I hope you guys tune in for the draft show. I'm just reading some stuff. Hold on. Hold on. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about tonight on the show. Actually, we don't. We'll talk a little bit about Torpedo Bats. We're going to talk about the UFL. We'll talk summer concerts. I actually have to do a little research on the summer concerts for this year because last year was brutal. Hold on. I'm just trying to get logged in on my sheet. We'll talk a little more on the draft with Jeff. We'll talk about there's no more chain gangs in the NFL. 18 games conversations and Aaron Glenn. Lot to talk about, but not a lot to talk about. So I hope you guys are in. I hope you guys are involved. And let's get the show kicked off. Let's get. Then there's only one way to do that is by bringing on my buddy and my partner, Mr. Jeff. Not sure about his mocks, Towinski.
What's up?
What's up, sir? How was your week?
You know, Tom, I'm glad you asked.
I'm glad I asked. Well, go ahead.
It started off slow, and then I had to work. I'm going to work tomorrow, so I'm working 6 days straight, off a day, and then another 6 days straight.
Wow. Is your boss out again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, whatever. But
right.
I start the week off, and then I play Madden.
Yeah.
And I fucking trounce this fucking scrub from Jersey. Trounce him.
Uh-huh.
He couldn't nothing. Nothing. He couldn't do anything right. Nothing right. Probably some fucking geek.
Did you mention how the week started with a spanking and you didn't, because see, everybody always remembers the first. See, the first was big because there was a lot of smack talk.
Missing a tooth, like in the
that's
front
right.
too.
That's fine. I'm missing. Yeah, that's 100% true. But come last week, there was a lot of challenges. I'm whooping and sunglasses, and then you got out-coached.
I lost by 3 fucking points.
Listen. Nobody remembers the second. They only remember the first.
You held the ball like a bitch. We played 4 games. I'm 3-1.
Again, a week ago, you were humbled.
3-1.
You were
3-1.
Spanked. As far as I'm concerned, it's 1-1, but that's okay.
No, it's not 1-1 because
no problem. Just remember, I have selected a team that has Drew Lock as a starting quarterback. Well, you have a future Hall of Famer as your quarterback.
Hey, listen, there's
Which is
31
fine.
other,
Listen,
other teams.
and I've decided that I will even the playing field on our next game. And again, guys, we're hoping that you guys will join us. We're trying to get a little bit of a 4, 6, maybe 8 guys would be great, but 4 to 6 guys, and have a little Madden league where we play once a week, and we get everybody together and play. You guys can hook the headsets up so we can bullshit and hang out. And
oh, you know something?
You
know that me and you could talk to one another. There's a button on the controller.
Yes, I found it afterwards. Yes.
Yeah, hit that button tonight.
Okay, so we will chat after this game.
When I'm fucking celebrating.
Oh, no, listen, you can talk all the smack you want. All I know is last Thursday night you went back with your tail between your legs, and I didn't hear from him for 4 days. I said, "Don't you want to play anymore?"
Listen.
I didn't disappear.
I didn't text you.
Why?
Or anything? Not because I lost.
Because
I wanted to see if you were going to grow a set of nards and actually challenge me again and try to.
And I did. And my team lost.
To get back.
Again, it's a simple thing. I chose a team with a quarterback who's probably not even in football right now.
I got the text messages like, I didn't know that Drew Lock was the starting quarterback.
Listen, it's fine. It's fine, and I got no complaints with tonight when I pick a different squad. And the outcome is much different.
I hope you do.
Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. My week was fine. Remember, everybody remembers Super Bowl I. Nobody remembers Super Bowl II. That's all I'm going to say.
But when I'm playing a team whose coach has fucking autism, I don't have to worry.
All I know is, guys, I play the game to win, and I play it like the NFL. If my team was up with 2 minutes to go, with the other team having no timeouts, and my team ran a play or threw the football, well, I would want to fire the coach. So
let me ask you something. What did I do when I was playing? Did I sit on the ball? No. Of course I ran the ball a lot. I got Breece Hall. He's a great running back.
Absolutely. You know I had no problem with the way you played the game. You were running the score. That's fine. I got to stop you if I can't. Shame on me.
Throwing Hail Marys in the fourth quarter with a minute left, trying to add more.
Yes, absolutely. I had no problem with it.
Did you see the celebrations after every touchdown?
I saw every one of them. It's no problem.
Was sitting at home like you fat tick.
It's all right here.
I hope so.
I remember every single one, and it's fine.
Wake up in the middle of the night crying like a baby. And
no, didn't bother me a bit. Because remember, everybody remembers Super Bowl I. Nobody remembers Super Bowl II. That's all.
Everybody remembers Super Bowl I. Then they'll remember who lost Super Bowl I too.
Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows. It's okay. It's okay. All I can say is, I'll see you after the show. That's all I can tell you. I'll see you after the show.
Yeah.
But let's get to something people really care about, and that is what we do here every week. So, Jeff, I'll start it all over again. Jeff, how was your week?
You know what, good Tom? It started off slow. Listen, work. Who the fuck cares? I got to say something.
Go ahead.
I looked up what you wanted me to look up.
Okay.
And you are going to be. I hope you didn't have no plans of going to see any concerts this year.
Well, I did. I actually said, and that's one of the reasons why I actually do the research. I said, you know what? I was going to sit down and look at it. I said, you know what? Let's hold it for the show, and let's talk about the summer concert series and see if there's anything out there that's even worthwhile. So you got it. That's fine.
I got it right there. I looked up. I only looked up. I'll tell you what I looked up. We don't have to do it now.
No.
I looked up the PNC Arts Center.
Okay.
I believe the Prudential Center.
Okay.
MSG. And I even went as far as to look up the St. George Theater, local on Staten Island.
Okay.
Because they do have some cool shows. I just want to check. Yeah, the Prudential, Madison Square Garden, and PNC Arts Center.
Okay.
I even took the St. George Theater out of the fucking mix. That's how bad that was.
Wow, really?
Yeah, dude, the music scene has disappeared.
Yeah, I don't understand it. So I said, you know what? We did it last year. We did it the last couple of years. We talked about the music scene and how this all the lack of bands that are coming around. And then a lot of shows are the same. Like it seems like every year you see Def Leppard, Journey, and somebody. like they're out every year, and there's no new album, so all you hear is the same old stuff over and over again. There's no Maiden this year. Maiden's not coming to the States until I think September or after. So the summer concerts, unless you're going to Birmingham for the big Black Sabbath tour concert, I don't think there's much to look forward to. But we'll hold that for a little later. I do want to get my dad on, and I want to talk a little bit about the draft. I do want to talk a little bit about Torpedo Bats. NFL made some rule changes. I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about Aaron Glenn changing the culture of the Jets and a few things more. But listen, if you guys got something out there, please kick it in. I would like to get everybody involved. But let's start by getting my Pops on, and let's see what he's got to say. What's up, Pop?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good.
What's up, Mr. Florio? How are you?
I'm good. What's the good word?
Nothing, Dad. To be honest with you, it's baseball season's kicked in. It's been okay. I think you've seen some good, some bad. Mets, Yankees around the league. It's way too soon to kind of throw a stamp on anything or anybody. So,
wait a minute. No, I got to disagree right off the bat.
All right.
I don't know if it's happened yet or if it'll happen in the next coming days. Met fans would like to acknowledge that they've won the World Series for the 2025 season.
Yes. Yeah, it's it's funny. Their opening day is tomorrow, so good luck to the Mets.
They didn't play yet?
Well, they played, but their home opener is tomorrow. Sorry,
okay.
Yes. So, they've had a weird start. They Lindor's been terrible. Soto's been okay. If it wasn't for Alonso, they would be probably 0-5 at this point, I would think. Pitch has been decent, nothing great. But again, this is how the Mets usually start with the bats. So it's way too early. Let's see what plays out. But I would say the one thing I've taken out of it, I think Soto's trying too hard. If you're asking me right now, I think Soto's tried too hard.
A lot of pressure on him, man.
Yeah,
a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, and I think he just has to go back to being Soto. He's a good hitter, and he should just go back to being a good hitter, right, Pop?
He's young, and they shouldn't put the pressure on him that they're putting on him now. Let him develop more, man.
Well, listen, he's a heck of a player, and I think he just it all started game one. Game one, he struck out with the winning and tying and winning run on base. They lost the game, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, we wasted the money. And I'm like, you guys got to be kidding! This is game one of 162. Yes, the guy swung at a bad pitch. It usually never happens. I think he just was trying to make something happen, and it didn't happen. So, but for the people to lose their minds and Yankee fans gloating and the Met fans are already wasted money, you're all out of your minds. The guy's a heck of a player.
Well, that's what you get when you pay that kind of money.
Yeah.
You're expecting everything great.
Well, you expect instant results, and it doesn't work that way. The guy's a good player. He's a great player. He's a great hitter. I don't know if he's a great player. I say he's a great hitter, and he'll be fine. But his numbers will be great. But I think he's putting too much pressure on himself. And, again, that's a lineup that needs to hit. And, if Vientos doesn't hit and he doesn't hit and Lindor's not going to hit yet so far, then you're not going to win a lot of games. So, Frank, I disagree. I heard a lot of Met fans already bitching and complaining after the first couple of games. And I'm not saying all Met fans. And, yes, Yankee fans are easily trying to stick it. Yeah. To me, you're all out of your minds. So leave the guy alone. End of the season, the Mets will win 89, 90 games, and he'll hit 300, and he'll have 30 homers and 90 RBIs, and he'll be fine. So I don't think anybody should worry about anything. But I think if I could say one thing is, I think everybody's got to take it out of the case. He is not Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, if he isn't the best player in baseball, he's 1A. So Soto is not the best player in baseball. He's an average outfielder, decent base runner, and a great hitter. He is not the best player in baseball or even close to the best player in baseball. Judge is a much better ball player than Juan Soto. So let's take that out.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean.
Not because he's a Yankee, but.
No, he's just a better all-around player.
Yeah, I think he's much better than, like you said, I think Soto's just a hitter. He's a decent fielder.
Yeah, no, he's not terrible. I watched him last year. He threw out a bunch of people to play. He's got a decent arm. He's very accurate. He's not a great fielder. He's not a great runner. I don't think he's a great base runner, but he's not terrible. Again, he's a great hitter, a really good, maybe great player, but he's not in the top 3 of the best players in baseball. He's not. So
should be very interesting. I'm looking forward to the draft.
Yep, me too.
I'm dying to find out what you guys think about the Giants, who they're going to draft.
I've been saying it all along, and I'll stay with it. It's either Travis Hunter, the cornerback / receiver for Colorado, or it's Abdul Carter, the defensive tackle from Penn State. I think the Giants are going to build a team around the quarterback position and try to get through at least this year, if not the next 2 years, with veteran quarterbacks who can at least semi-play the game, and then try to find their franchise quarterback at some point. I just don't think it's at the 3 pick of the draft. It might be in the first round, but it won't be the 3 pick. That's my opinion. Jeff, what about you? What do you think?
Tom, it's hard to say because every time that I read a mock draft, and I've been reading a lot of them, it's changing.
Of course.
It just constantly evolves, and it's almost like nobody knows who the best player in the draft is right now, other than Cam Ward or whatever the fuck his name is.
But I disagree. See, I don't think Cam Ward's the best player in the draft. I think the best player in the draft is either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. They are locked down. No doubt they're going to be great players. Nobody's in lockdown. Excuse me.
Over the years, we've seen can't miss players go to
I agree with you. I'm just saying I don't think either quarterback are lock-in best players. I think they may be the best.
Neither do I. But you know what? Right off the bat, you got Abdul Carter. All right, he has problems with his fucking feet.
Yep.
So you got to think of that.
And a bad shoulder.
Oh, I didn't know that. And then Travis Hunter plays 2 positions. The last thing I want to do is see a player go into the NFL on my team that's looking to play both sides of the ball. Maybe is a rarity.
I think what you could do with him is you could play him full-time at corner and then give him 5, 6, 7 plays a game at receiver. But if he's a receiver, you can't play him at corner because
I wouldn't want to do it either way, man.
I wouldn't want to do it either way. And I think that presents the problem. I think anybody who drafts him got to say he's my starting. And again, unless you get to a game and somebody gets hurt, you're desperate for somebody. I agree, Frankie. I think he is a wide receiver, if you ask me. If I were the Giants, I would play him at wide receiver. And if I were the Giants, that's a guy I would draft. I like Carter, but to Jeff's point, I'm worried about the injuries a little bit. I am worried a little about the injuries.
Real quick, back to Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
If you use him as a cornerback and you want to use him like as a gimmick play here and there and line him up as wide receiver, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But to use him as a wide receiver and then to give him a shot of being cornerback at all, to me, is just way too big of a risk.
Correct. I agree with you 100%. That's why I say if I were the Giants, I would draft him as a wide receiver, play him out. See, I want to build the team around the 2 quarterbacks and say, just get them the ball. Throw them slip screens, bubble screens, whatever you got to do. Get these guys the ball and let them run with it because our quarterbacks aren't great. So they're not even good. I'm not even sure they're any good, let alone great. So I want to build a team around these 2 quarterbacks or a quarterback and and just go out there and win some games and then find your franchise guy later. So to me, I wouldn't draft a quarterback early if I were the Giants. I would get the absolute best player I could get and fix all the other problems on this team and just hope that you can go out and be competitive with the quarterbacks that you're stuck with.
I mean, what are you going to do if they go offensive line?
Again, I would not have a problem with that. If they'll go out there and get the best offensive lineman and you make that offensive line great, I'm for that too. I don't think they will. I think the offensive line as constructed is okay.
Players that are going to get cut.
Sure.
And you don't know who's going to get cut and their skill level. That offensive lineman is helping the quarterback out immensely also.
Yeah, no, again, if you told me they took the best offensive tackle in the draft, I would. That's fine with, the problem, the Giants are okay at offensive line right now. Still not great. And if you can get that even better, I'd be happy too. I just think if I just want the best player available to fill the biggest need you have. And that's either wide receiver right now, another wide receiver, obviously quarterback, but I don't think any of these guys are ready to play in the NFL. And I think the top two guys are okay. I don't think either one of them are going to be great in the NFL.
And Frank Catalano, the Jets need a lot more than just offensive line.
But I agree with Frankie. I would either go wide receiver or I would go offensive line. I think, and I said it earlier. I love the tight end from Penn State, but I always think these guys he's to me he's not a great athlete. I'm a little concerned, but he's a beast. If they took Ty Warren, Warren's just a beast of a player. I'd love to see the Jets get him. I think he would be a big help to that offense. But I think their bigger need is offensive line or wide receiver. So
for the Jets,
yeah,
dude, they need defensive tackles. They need so much.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think their biggest need is offensive line and a second wide receiver to Garrett Wilson. Their backs are great, right? I think they've in their mind they've solved the quarterback problem. So go get a receiver or a tight end or an offensive lineman. I think defensively they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be great, but I think they're going to be okay. I would, at a first-round pick, I would fix the offense. That's where I would go. So, Pop, to me, it's going to be a good draft. The Giants go early, so if you're a Giant fan like we are, you'll see it by 8:30. You'll know what their pick is. But to me, it's either Hunter or Abdul Carter, or they trade down. Jeff said it.
I would think, in my opinion, they should trade that pick.
Yep.
For later on.
You could definitely do that.
Somebody that's got 2 picks in the top 20 around there.
I don't think anybody's got a second pick in the first round this year. But
Not
to
yet.
me, yeah,
But it's early, so you don't know.
Yeah, you know. But if you're right, that if you could trade that, and I've heard a couple rumors where the Cowboys and the Giants are going to make a trade. I can't see that. Where I've heard that the Browns and the Cowboys are going to trade Dak Prescott to the Browns for the second pick. And they're swapping picks. There's a lot of craziness. I think the Giants stick where they are, and I think they take the best player available. And to me, it's Hunter or Carter. Again, I'm a little leery of Carter, but the Jets need the Jets. There's some rumors that Jeff that Sanders goes to the Jets.
I saw that. And Frank Catalano, listen, until it happens, I don't believe nothing about the Jets.
I
played in 26 seasons.
I think once you get him, you're extra trouble.
I agree. I think that there's too much baggage. And like I said, after every game that he plays or doesn't play, they're going to be interviewing his father, and his father's going to be chiming in. So to me, but I think Aaron Glenn could deal with it because he's a rookie coach. He's not going anywhere. Nobody's bringing Dion in there, but I don't think the Jets are taking a quarterback. I really don't. Not there. I think the Jets think they have their guy. He's young, and I think quarterback is the furthest thing from their mind. I would take the best player available, whether it's an offensive tackle or a receiver. I think either one or a tight end. I think the Jets will be fine with this draft. Here's the problem. If Joe Milton was such a great player, why would the Patriots trade him? It just makes no sense. If they had Joe Milton, it's almost like, Jeff, who was the guy the 49ers drafted and the Cowboys traded for him? What was that guy's name? Trey Lance. Everybody loves you. Matt, whoa, Trey Lance is some athlete. Remember we had this comment, and I'm going, guys, his whole tape in college was him running the ball over these little defensive backs in Division III football. He didn't even make a full season. Did he make a full season? Maybe he made a full season. Didn't even get a chance to be the starting quarterback there. Got traded to the Cowboys. I think he's flipping fries.
He played
at McDonald's.
He played in full season in with San Francisco, and then he went to start or something. He broke his ankle.
Yeah.
Maybe he was out there for a short time because they went through like 3 quarterbacks that year.
Yeah.
If you remember, they made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, and 2 quarterbacks went down in the NFC Championship game, I believe.
Yep.
That's when Brock Purdy came and hit the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they traded him right away to the Cowboys, and I haven't heard from him since. I think he's flipping fries at McDonald's.
Yeah, he's not on a team as of
Listen,
right.
I'm not saying Joe Milton's not a good quarterback. I'm just saying this: if he was that good a quarterback, Why would the Patriots trade him? The way good quarterbacks are needed in the NFL, nobody's trading quarterbacks for any good. So the Cowboys could trade for Joe Milton, and he may turn into something. I have no idea. I just say if there's a team trading a quarterback at this point in time, there's a pretty good reason. There's a pretty good bet that he's not very good. So, or he's not going to get good. So, I don't know. I just don't see it. But listen, the Cowboys, maybe they know something that I don't. Let's see how it plays out. But Pop, the draft's going to be fun. It always is. I don't know where the Giants go. Nobody does. But at number 3, they should get much better.
All right. I'm going to let you guys go.
You got it, Pops.
Good night. And talk to you later.
You got it, Pop. I'll see you on Saturday. Yep, you got it.
Take care, guys.
Be good, Mr. Florio. See you soon.
Thank you.
Daddy checks every week with us, and Jeff. I think the bigger question in this draft, Jeff, is going to be the Cleveland Browns.
They hold the key to a lot of things, without a doubt.
But do they have the balls to take a quarterback at the second pick? That's the key. With all I meant to do and I forgot. I'm curious to say who are the last 10 quarterbacks that the Browns drafted.
Oh my God!
I guarantee you. Nice, Judge. Hit a 3-run home.
That is quite a list, man.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, for them, listen, they obviously need a quarterback. You're in the second pick in the draft. So I think if Cam Ward wasn't the number 1 pick and he was available at 2, they would take him. The question becomes, if you're at number 2 and you need a quarterback and you're the Cleveland Browns, do you go ahead and draft Shedeur Sanders, or do you take the guarantee? Oh, again, you said it and you're right. Nobody's guaranteed. But the more logically assured guaranteed pick in Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter or one of those other guys, I think they do. I think the Cleveland Browns are so gun-shy that they actually might go into the season with Kenny Pickett as their quarterback.
Okay. Here's what I think with this. Okay. You got a big, definitely have a valid point with that. But you got to think this way too. Okay. Let's just say the Cleveland Browns come in. Okay. And you're on draft day. Okay. If the first pick is made in the draft, that's going to give some people some time to think and consider. Right now, there is no clear-cut choice of who to pick and who to get. I'm sure you agree with that.
There's no clear cut. Yeah, you're 100% right. Yes.
There's nobody that's like, this guy's going to fucking be the next best big thing in the NFL.
No.
Nobody's really saying that about any of these guys.
No.
That being said,
yep.
Until the draft happens and the Browns get on the clock, then they may get a few draft picks because somebody may get nervous and say, oh, we got to get this guy because by the time we pick at 15 or whatever, and I don't know who's picking at what, so I'm just throwing numbers out there.
Yeah.
That they may then hit them up with a trade. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, part of me has to be thinking that part of them has to be hoping that that's what happens on.
I agree with you because you don't want the pressure. You want the pressure on somebody else. Trade back, get a bunch of picks, and you take the pressure off yourself. That's what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, of course. Because look, you got the Giants at number 3, who just signed. I mean, listen, let's face it, Winston and Wilson. Neither one of these two guys is scaring anybody right now.
No,
competent players, maybe. I personally would have been happy with Winston as a bridge quarterback.
I agree.
I would have stayed away from Wilson and spent that money elsewhere, but I'm not a Giant. I'm not a Giant general manager.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. If you had done that, then you really got people thinking that you're going to be looking at a quarterback in the draft.
Right. And
then you may get somebody to fucking come knock on your door and say, listen, I'll give you a 2 and a 3 and swap ones.
Right.
Okay. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're like, fuck yeah. You know, because it's nobody that it's at that point. And it looks as though, I mean, I'm not even recognizing the same names except, the couple Abdul Carter, Cam Ward, Shedeur, who, by the way, on this one draft I read this morning, sunk all the way, I think, to number 20.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them where he drops way down in the draft.
Way down there.
Yeah.
The kid from Michigan, a defensive lineman from Michigan, an offensive lineman, I think it's from Missouri.
Yeah.
I think he's been coming up a little bit more in the draft. So, I mean, this is a lackluster draft, without a doubt.
Well, there's not a lot of big names. There's some really good players, but there's not the huge names. And here's why, Jeff, because the quarterbacks aren't here. Last year, how many quarterbacks did we take that went in this draft last year?
Oh, it was like six in the
first 10 picks, right? So it's not that there's not good players. The names aren't there, and because they're not quarterbacks. Everybody wants the quarterbacks. That's the problem.
But Tom, right now is April 3rd.
Yep.
Okay? 24 days before the draft. Who's the names?
Right.
I understand what you're saying. There's no big names, but that's just it. Nobody is coming to the forefront. Nobody is saying this is the next best thing. The only one running his mouth is Abdul Carter.
Yes.
Who's got foot problems. And then you turned around and said about having shoulder problems. Frank, I just used that number as an example. I don't know where he went down pretty far. It was definitely well into the teens, maybe the 20s. And he's the only one that's running his mouth saying he should be the top pick in the draft. You got fucking foot problems and evidently a shoulder problem. You should just shut the fuck up and hope that you get picked.
Yeah, every year I buy this publication. This publication is what I use to do my research. Plus, I do a lot of looking. I've already started coming up with my top 10, and I might do the whole first round. But this is what I use. And this has been going on for decades. I mean, this has been around forever. They have Shedeur Sanders as the number 27 player in the country.
The only reason he was up as high as he was is because he's a quarterback.
Yes.
Has star power thanks to his father.
Correct.
And because his father was the coach of Colorado, it brought attention to him too. Yeah. Didn't he turn that program around a little bit?
Well, yeah, they were listen, they are better. They're not a great team, but they're better than they were. But, so I'll give him credit for turning it around. I'm going to be curious now that his son and Hunter are gone and some of the guys that he brought over from Jacksonville, from Jackson State, if he has more success, but the likelihood is he is going to be looking to jump out of that program sooner than later. He's going to go to the pros. I think I think him and his son are hoping to wind up with a team, maybe like the Giants, where the coach is on the hot seat. Maybe it's the Raiders where, their coach is 75 years old and maybe going to coach 2 more years. I think if you're Dion, you want to get back into the league, you want to get into the NFL, and you want to coach where your son is because you're comfortable there, and that relationship is going to be great. Because coaches and quarterbacks don't always get along together. I would imagine him and his son are going to be fine. So to me, I don't think you're far off. I think there's a real good chance that Shedeur Sanders could drop like a dead weight to the bottom half of the first round. Somebody will draft him there. And obviously, Frankie, you're right. Nobody thinks the Broncos are going to get him, but again, I would not be shocked if he fell to 15 or 20, and it won't shock me if he goes in the top 10 because somebody.
Yeah, I hear you.
Somebody, this is that kind of draft. And again, a lot of people don't know these names. They don't know the name of Mason Graham, the tackle Jeff referenced from Michigan, or Will Johnson, the quarterback from Michigan, or McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, or Josh Connolly, the offensive tackle from Oregon. These are all really good players that are way ahead of Shedeur Sanders. He's the top 5 players according to most draft experts. But will they go that high? I don't know because everybody wants to talk about the quarterbacks. So for me,
but that's the thing too. You just hit the nail on the head. It does not matter how good some of these guys are.
Correct.
If there's a general manager, and not for nothing, the Giants are one of those general managers.
Yep.
That job is on the line. The whole staff is on the line. They may all be like, listen, if Sanders is there, we have a lot to think about in 10 minutes. We may have to take him. What happens if we let this guy go and he goes someplace else and he ends up lighting up the league in 2 years? That could be us.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that's how a lot of teams are going to be picking.
Yeah. So let me give you the first few picks of the draft. And you tell me where the next quarterback goes. Let's say that Cam Ward goes to Tennessee. Okay?
Okay.
So now the Cleveland Browns are on the clock. Do the Cleveland Browns, they were talking about Saints falling in love with Dart and picking before Sanders. Yeah, I like Dart better too. I think Dart's a better player. And if you like him, grab him. I don't care what part he's in. He's a better quarterback than Sanders. Sanders may be a better athlete. I'm not even sure. But Dart is a better quarterback. So, Jeff, Cleveland Browns pass on him.
Just 1 second, Rick.
Sure.
We've been preaching that on the show, myself specifically,
Yeah.
for many years, and just saying if that's the guy that you think is going to help your team, you can't worry about what the rest of the world thinks. You're the one drafting for your team. You got to take who you think is the best fit. Who do I think is the next quarterback taken? Dart's stock has risen. That kid from Alabama.
Yeah.
His stock seems.
Jalen Monroe. Yep. His stock has definitely risen.
Who's that one kid that was playing in Texas with the
Quinn Ewers? Quinn Ewers.
I don't know much about him, but I'm going to say it's going
he could go. He could go in the late second, early third round. He's got some ability, but the problem is that program has never really put out a great quarterback into this league. It's like Ohio State, but they keep drafting Ohio State quarterbacks because they win championships on really good teams. But yeah, but I like Quinn Ewers. If the Giants took him in third or fourth round, it would be like you've talked about. It's almost like I'll take a shot at it. But the likelihood is no.
A quarterback taken after the first round to me is that you hope that he's something in the second round. Once you get into the third round, this is a backup quarterback.
Yeah, that's the way it's played out in the league for years. And I have changed my theory to follow you because I, for sure, for years was always like, no, it's too early to take that kind of guy. To me, I don't care if he's a guard, quarterback. I don't care what if you love the guy and you think he's your guy, you draft him as soon as you can get your hands on him.
You got to take him. You got to get him.
I agree with you 100%. I've changed that thinking. I was always in you can't take Dart at 3 because he's not really a third round, number 3 pick talent. Bullshit. If you think he's a legit quarterback and you would take him at number 20 or 25 or second pick of second round, and you have a chance to get him in the first round, you go get him because there's a chance he won't be there. So to me, I agree with Jeff 100%.
I don't think Jackson Dart is going to make it out of the first round.
I agree with you. I think he will get drafted by somebody. Now, I don't know where.
I've seen drafts where he goes to the Giants, the Jets, the Saints.
Again, I don't think the Jets are going to take a quarterback. I think the Jets feel like with Fields, the running game and the defense, they're going to be fine. I think the only way the Jets take a quarterback is if Cam Ward, for some reason, drops to number 7. And I don't see that happening.
Don't let anything fool you. Because, the one thing I will say about the Jets signing Justin Fields is I don't think that they look at him as a long-term fix, because if they did, why would they have only signed him to a 2-year deal? This is a panic league. And
of course it is. Sure.
It's going to be that great. I could see if he has a really good season this year. And what's a good season for Justin Fields? Is it a good season by NFL standards, or is it a good season by Justin Fields standards? Because there's a difference.
No,
Let's say he rushes for 700 yards, 7 touchdowns, and he throws for 2,900 yards, and he throws for 28 touchdowns. Do the Jets extend him and give him a 3-year extension?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the answer becomes, how successful are you? If the Jets have a good season and he plays smart football and his quarterback stats aren't great, but he's productive. Like, let's say he throws 10 touchdowns, only has a couple of, let's say he has 8 interceptions, and he runs another 8 or 10 touchdowns. So he gets 18 to 20 touchdowns combined. The Jets win 9, 10 games. They're on the track to playing better. I think the Jets would be thrilled with that. Obviously you'd want better production. I don't think they're going to put the ball in his hands enough throwing that he's going to have that biggest season. I think they're going to rely on short passing game, RPOs, and a lot of running behind those 2 good backs. I think you're going to see a lot of what they do in Detroit when they're going to run the ball with those 2 backs, throw the ball when they need to, and play good defense. And that's what I'm expecting out of the Jets this year. So I do think that he doesn't have to have 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns to get it. He's not that
kind of guy. He's not going to get that.
Correct. So to me, if he accounts for 20 touchdowns and the Jets are successful and everybody loves each other. They kumbaya in the locker room. I could see them giving him extension and not having to draft another quarterback who you don't know is going to be any good. Yeah, I could see it, Jeff. It's a stretch, but I could see it.
I hope that if that's what happens, okay,
Yep.
I hope that he throws for 20 plus touchdowns. Okay, that's what I'm hoping.
Sure,
I'm hoping that they finally get a quarterback that hits 300 yards once in a while on through the year.
Yeah,
they don't, even with Rodgers, he wasn't hitting 300 yards.
You're 100% right.
Right? They haven't had a guy that was. You need that threat. You need that.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
But he does give them a ground threat. But you want to know something? Bring everybody up.
Well, that's the
like he can't throw the ball, double team Wilson and whatever.
Yeah, he's going to have to be able to throw the ball to keep the defense from stacking up. I use Detroit, but Detroit has a legit quarterback in Goff. Goff can throw. If you put the game on his shoulders and said, we're not running the ball, you're going to throw the ball 40 times, he's legit. I couldn't say that same theory for Justin Fields. He just has to be able to complete passes when he needs to and not make mistakes and be smart with the football. And if he averages 225, 250 yards a game, and if he gets to 20 touchdowns in the air, I would tell you the Jets are going to have a good season.
Oh, well, we will see.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance the Jets take a tight end and Tyler Warren. I think he's a fantastic big threat.
I don't understand it, Jeff. Jets tight end is a FA. What is that?
As a free agent.
Oh, the Jets tight end. Who? What was his name? Fuck, he signed already. He's gone.
Yeah,
they had last year.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance the Jets take a tight end or a tackle than they do a quarterback. To me, to take Sanders, even if it's Sanders, you're not going to play him this year. And I think the Jets I think they're looking to win right now. They're looking to reestablish things. I think they're going to go tackle or they're going tight end, maybe even defense, like Jeff said. It depends who slips. I think Joey's back to Joey's point on the Saints. That's a possibility, but because there's really nobody else along the way. Jacksonville's not taking a quarterback. The Patriots aren't taking a quarterback. The Raiders, they just signed Donald. They're not taking a quarterback. The Jets maybe, but I doubt it. The Panthers, I'm not sure if they're taking a quarterback. So it's 8-9 before I think anybody else is taking a quarterback at that point. And is it Sanders? That's a big question. Then they get to the Bears. They're not taking a quarterback. The 49ers are not taking a quarterback. The Cowboys, maybe. The Dolphins, maybe.
Dude, are these the quarterbacks that you want to take at this point in time?
That's like, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I don't. I think Sanders could fall. One of those teams could grab Dart if you're that healthy. But I think, like we talked about, I think a lot of these teams are too afraid to take a guy like that at that point in time.
And then I'll throw a wrench in your works too. Okay.
Yeah.
Cousins. Who knows what trademark may be developing for Kirk Cousins as we speak.
Correct.
And another thing I'll think about is that, and the things that we don't think about, we don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. But here's something to think about. Who's going to be the 2026 free agents?
Yeah.
So there may be teams that are looking at guys that are going to be available next year in 2026, maybe clearing up cap space, maybe drafting towards thinking like, we got a shot at this guy. You don't know. You're
right.
What everybody's big plans are.
No, you're right.
Next year, Dak Prescott, for example, is going to end up being a free agent.
Yep.
Especially if the Cowboys don't do anything. There may be a team like the Browns or the Raiders, or I'm just using these teams as examples. Or even you ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Sure.
Denver Broncos. They may want to go with a guy like Dak Prescott because they may say that this guy they got, what's his name?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, yeah, Bo Nix. Too old.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing to him? The guy's
he's by Social Security.
Security already.
Yeah, he's worried about Social Security checks. Yeah, right. I agree. But there's a lot that plays into this. I just think if you're going, teams right now are very gun shy. And I use Cleveland because
it's
teams,
a lot of money.
Yeah, and the same thing for the Giants. Listen, I'm the first one to say the Giants' first-round draft picks have not been great. Kadarius Toney, that didn't work out so good. Daniel Jones, I love Daniel Jones, and I pray he does really well with the Colts. Didn't work out for them. He's not here. And they took a big cap hit from him this year. There's a lot of
I gotta address this. Frank, yeah, you're right. He is younger than the Jet starter, but the Jet starter has been in the league for what, 4 years now?
Yes.
This guy came into the league and is a year younger than the Jet starter.
It's very true.
I don't care how old the Jet starter is. They just had, what's up, Leonard Anthony?
What's up, Leonard Anthony?
They just had a guy that went to fucking preschool with Moses at 41 years old. You know, if the guy goes out there and he plays,
and that to me is still the most baffling thing of the summer. Why isn't Aaron Rodgers signed at this point? Why does he not make this decision?
I think he has something in line with the Steelers. It has to be.
I'm not disagreeing, but if let's say that's the case, let's say he's already told the Steelers he's going to sign with them, then why not sign? Is it possible that he's still contemplating retirement?
No.
Okay, so then to me, there are no other options. Like I don't see any other team out there that's going to take him right now.
It's two scenarios. I'm not saying options, two scenarios.
Right.
One, he goes and he plays with three scenarios.
Frankie got the third scenario, yeah.
Frank's scenario, he is a dick. Regardless of what he does, he is a dick.
He is a dick.
He does retire, or three, he goes to the Steelers. The only other possible scenario is he's waiting to see if McCarthy fails with the Vikings.
That's the only other possibility. You're right. That is the only other possibility.
If the Steelers don't have somebody as a quarterback by the time the draft comes, you cannot tell me that they're not going to be looking to charge up to the front of the pack to get.
They're at 21. That's a big jump. I agree with you. But again, they could draft they could be in a position to draft Jackson Dart at that point.
It is possible, but you're going to take that chance?
No, see, that's the thing. I don't know. Because right now, their starting quarterback is Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, not exactly a fucking threat.
So, right. So I think you're right. They know that Rodgers is coming. The question I have for Rodgers is, what are you waiting for? I mean, are you looking to maybe not go to the mini camps and the OTAs, and you're going to wait till all that's over with? To me, that's a bad sign. Otherwise, I don't know why if that's his only spot, which to me seems to be it.
Nobody else is talking to him.
That's my point. So to me,
the team that talked to him didn't want him. He called the Giants. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. He called the Giants to be like, yeah. That's all he did that for.
I agree with you. 100%. That was just to stick it in the Jets' ass. And Joe Cloak, I think you're right. I think he'd rather go to the Vikings because they have a legit chance to go to the Super Bowl, no doubt. And they're ahead of the Steelers. I don't disagree with you. But I don't think if you're the Vikings, you're not bringing Aaron Rodgers in to compete with J.J. McCarthy. You're either going to bring him in and he's the starter, or you're not bringing him in to be the backup or compete. So I don't know if that's an option. I have not heard too much about it. I know they talked, but I think that the Vikings are going with McCarthy, and that's it, and they're done. But otherwise,
I'll tell you this: if the Vikings wanted him, and they could have got Aaron Rodgers this year, they had the team that they had, I think they would have traded McCarthy for more capital. You know what I mean? Or more draft capital. Went with Aaron Rodgers, and then worry about getting a quarterback in a year or two.
Maybe you're right, but you also could have stuck McCarthy on the bench for another year and brought in Aaron Rodgers to play. But so I don't know what the holdup would be.
2 years of his career sitting on the bench for the Vikings, and you don't know what you have in him.
You also say the same thing. The Packers did it for 4 years with Rodgers, and then that worked out. So it's not unprecedented.
You had Brett Favre at the time. It's completely different. The Vikings don't have anybody.
Listen. If I were the Vikings, I would play J.J. McCarthy after what I saw. But again, Rodgers wasn't terrible. But the question just becomes if there's two options on the table, which I don't believe there is. I think he's waiting for a second option. That's my belief. To me, there's nothing wrong with the Steelers. They win every year. You know, they're 500 or better every year. They've got probably the league's best coach. I'm not a big fan of the guy, but he never loses. They're competitive. It's a tougher division.
I know what you're saying, but the whole point of the matter is that Pittsburgh, didn't exactly make a noise and went out with a whimper at the end of the season.
Correct. Lost the last 5 games of the year. Correct.
Yeah, okay. Aaron Rodgers proved in Green Bay, proved with the Jets, and will prove once again whenever he signs, if he plays again this year, that he's a dick. And we already know, and we know that Frank Catalano knows that.
Yeah.
But we already, because he's advertising it, but he's going to be somebody, he ruins teams.
No, I'm not disagreeing, but either the Vikings want him or they don't want him. At this point, there's nothing going to change the Vikings' outlook. It's not like they're trying to see if McCarthy's healthy or they're waiting to see if their regular quarterback signs a contract. It's either you want him or you don't want him. And I get him holding the Steelers off. So unless the Vikings are telling him, give us some time to figure it out, I don't understand what the holdup is. So, listen, I understand going to the Vikings. You got 2 of the best receivers in the game. You got one of the best coaches in football. You got playing in an indoor stadium. So, you're not playing in Pittsburgh in December. You're playing in Minnesota indoors in December. So, there's a lot of better things to go to Minnesota. But either Minnesota wants him or they don't want him at this point. I don't understand what the holdup is. It can't be money. He's already being paid by the Jets. So, it ain't a money issue. Unless he's looking for 2 years.
And even if the Vikings signed him, okay, and they took him, and they didn't start him, they could fucking trade him for something, trade him for a player, trade him for somebody. You know what I mean? You're not paying for him. Yeah,
I don't know the hold up, but if you're a Steeler fan, you're getting tortured by Aaron Rodgers. It can't be any fun. Honestly, it can't be any fun.
Definitely not, because the guy he shouldn't do what he does, man. Yeah. Nobody can agree with what he does.
No, he's, I don't know what his legacy was before, but I would tell you, it will always be, well, he was a great quarterback, but it'll always be, but he was a dick, but he was a team killer, but he never won a second championship, but he was loved with himself, but it'll always be Aaron Rodgers was great, but every time. And that's it. And that's the legacy he's leaving. I think Favre did the same thing to himself at the end. Favre was a great player, but he tortured the package. But he took the Jets' money for a year and then fell apart. But he went to the Vikings and didn't win a championship. But. I think Rodgers is in the same boat.
Yeah, but you want to know something? Here's the difference, though, to me. Okay, and you may say no, but this is my thought on it. Aaron Rodgers is an arrogant peckerhead.
Correct.
Brett Favre wasn't.
No, agreed.
Brett Favre was that good old country boy bullshit that'll, he'll be the one that fucking does a backflip off the back of the scoreboard and into the back of a pickup truck.
Yep.
And then get drunk and then still throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. You know what I mean? He's got that country boy kind of feel about him. I'm not saying he's right and with what he does, but I just, I don't know.
No, I'm with you, and you couldn't be more right. So again, we'll see how that plays out. I don't think that has any impact on the draft. We'll be here on the 27th. Jeff and I, starting at 7:00, we'll run you through at least the first 7 picks. Hopefully, we'll get through the first 10 picks. We try to do that every year. We'll see how late that gets. But we'll be here for the first 2 picks of our teams. Thank God they both sucked last year, so it'll be early. It's not like it's the end. It won't be the end of the first round, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
that's every year. It's a shame that we get to watch our teams pick and everything else, and then what happens? Yeah, Joe Cloak, you will figure to be looking at that label, right? You like the way that label shakes as he walks. I do.
But Hard Rocket Sports, that Chef and Tom, we're here every Thursday night. This summer, we'll be celebrating 11 years on the air, and who knows how long it goes, folks. So just, come around every week, because you never know when the last show is going to be. It could be 20 years from now. It could be 20 weeks from now. Who the hell knows? We're having fun, and we're still in the middle of football season, because we're talking football for the last 40 minutes, and we'll get back to some more football. I want to turn to baseball. I don't know how much you're watching, Jeff, and you're paying attention to the Torpedo Bats.
I've paid more attention to that because it's all over the place. Got no choice but to pay attention to it. And listen, go on, because I have my thoughts about the bat.
Well, so here's my thing. So I don't have a problem with it, But I do say this. I think you took a big weapon out of the I think you took a big weapon out of the pitcher's hands, because where a big guy like Judge, or a guy with a quick bat like Otani, where you want to get it on their hands and break the bat, you've now taken that away from the pitcher, and you've basically said the hitting area is going to be much bigger. And I think a guy, and you're seeing it now, Volpe, I think's got 4 hits and they're all home runs, where normally he breaks a lot of bats and he gets jammed. He now is turning on that pitch and getting more wood on the ball. Do I think it's illegal? No. Do I like it? I don't think I do, but I don't have a problem with it. But I do think it's, again, I think it's baseball putting the thumb on the scale of, we don't want 2-1 games. We want 9-7 baseball games where pitching is irrelevant, and we want home runs and arc angles and exit velocity. And I think that's what they're looking for, and they're okay with the bats. There's nothing illegal about them. Again, I think I don't like changing the game. I don't think the bats
the game is already changed,
but it is what it is.
The game has already changed in the point of when you gave up National League and American League, when you gave up the designated hitter and made the designated hitter part of the National League. You already gave up and compromised the game as it is.
Yep.
There was a difference between the two leagues. And now I said to you on the opening week, end of the season last weekend, I said, why are the Yankees playing the Brewers, right?
Yep, you certainly did.
Like, that's interleague play. And you're like, there is no more interleague play. It's just baseball.
Yep.
Okay, so it is what it is. So you want, now baseball's turning around. If this is their plan with the bat, they're turning around and they're turning their back on all pitching fucking records. So you got to think of, just like how football kind of, devalued the running back position, baseball has been devaluing the pitching position for quite some time. When you have a pitcher and he's on a pitch count, or right away now they're saying like, okay, it's the 3rd inning, he's on 38 pitches.
Yeah,
a bit further along than they would want at this point in time, but we'll keep an eye on where he goes. I heard from talking to a few coaches that they're going to clip him at like 70 to 75 pitches, depending on how it's going.
Mm-hmm.
So already this guy could be having a great game and be like, nah, he's approaching 75 pitches. We got to get him out of there. We can't have that. So
right.
Already you're putting a pitch count on pitches, which I don't understand. Let the guy pitch. You're going to take it, like you said, ERA is going to be a stat that nobody's going to care about. Here's something else that nobody's thinking about, okay?
Yep.
Who the fuck is going to want to be a pitcher? Who's going to want to be a pitcher?
Yeah.
People that are going to be like, wait a minute, there's going to be no money in a pitcher because all he does is throw the ball. Okay? All I got to do is pitch 4 to 5 strong innings. If that.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah. You're 100%. You got to go 4 innings if you're lucky.
Yeah. And it's to me, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I do not like it.
I'm with you. I can't sit there and say it's bothering me. I just say your baseball putting the thumb on the scale, and it's not baseball because Major League Baseball did come up with this. These are teams. The Yankees hired a former MIT engineer to come up and design these bats, and these bats have been out there. I didn't know they've been out there for a few years. Teams have been using.
I've seen it.
I had no idea. This is the first time I'm kind of in the middle of that, but. I just say this, while it's not illegal, I think it's bad for the game. I think, sawing off a guy's bat, being able to pitch a man inside, where, you get him on the, you remember, hit the ball in the sweet spot. Now the sweet spot, instead of being this big, the sweet spot is now this big.
It's going to be the whole bat.
Yeah. So again, is it illegal? No. Do I like it? I don't. I think it's a challenge, but baseball ultimately does not want pitchers to dominate. They want home runs. They want runs scored. Unless a pitcher's pitching a perfect game or a no-hitter, people don't care. Unless you're throwing 105 miles an hour. Nobody cares.
Do they care anyway at all, Tom?
No, they do. If you're pitching a perfect game or a no-hitter or you're throwing 102 miles an hour, people care. Short of that, It's all about how high you can hit the ball, how far you can hit the ball, how fast you can hit the ball. Nothing else matters, and that's what this is doing. This is just adding to that record, and that bothers me. To me, I think the science of the game, the 2-1 game, the 3-2 game, where pitch and duel, get a big hit, a bunt, that to me is baseball, and I miss that. I listen. You can hit home runs; it's fine with me. Judge hitting home runs is nice. These guys hitting home runs is okay as part of the game. But to make bats that make it easier to hit home runs because the hitting surface is bigger, I think you're going too far for me, Jeff. That's just my opinion. I don't like a lot of the other rules that you had to pitch to 3 batters, the ghost runner, that kind. The only thing I like that they changed, and I know a lot of people still don't like it, but to me is the pitch clock. I think the pitch clock has been the only thing and maybe the best thing that baseball's done in a long time because it moves the game along. Other than that, I would love the game the way it was. It was a perfect game. It just was perfect.
Well, you know what? You without even realizing it, you would actually have to play video games to understand some of this stuff. And I'm not one to play baseball or watch baseball, but I do play a baseball video game.
Right.
Okay. And the one thing I will say, which is 100% true, is everything that you said when you're in the very beginning. Okay. They throw the things that are in baseball games, the computerized games, is what catches people's attention. How when they hit the ball, all of a sudden it just curves over this way. And the things that they're seeing, the extras that you didn't realize were actually happening in a real game.
Right.
Until you see it in a different angle. They're appealing to a new fan, and they have to evolve that part of the game. There are not fans of the game that they're like there once were, who would appreciate a 2-1 game, 3-2 game, who want to see a well-pitched game. Okay? People want to see entertainment. A 2-1 game is not entertainment for a lot of people. Okay? Entertainment is when it's 10-9 in the bottom of the ninth and some guy has a loaded bases and there's a chance that they're going to blow the game open in the bottom of the ninth. This is what people want to see. They want to see production. They want to see offense.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
It's a shame because, like we said once before, there's baseball purists that like the game the way it is. They want to see the game played. And then there's people that just want to see a live video game.
Correct. Yes. I agree. And I think to you, for me, I'm a baseball purist. I'd like to go back to the old days where you didn't play the other league. There was a difference between American and National League. It made the World Series bigger to me than it is now. I think all of that crossover stuff has only hurt the game and marginalized it. To me, there was nothing better than being able to see 2 teams in the World Series who haven't played each other in years. I think that there's something major to that. The Super Bowl is great, but when your team has played each other once or twice during the regular season, it's a little different, to me. But when the Yankees played the Dodgers and then played each other all year and haven't played each other in 10 years, to me, that was significant. I think that was the best thing ever.
Yeah, I hear you, but they're looking. I think that they're looking to appeal the game to a new generation.
Yeah, no, 100%. The game's not built for you and me anymore.
Offense, because you could see it on a video game, is what's going to be big. Okay, like I said, it's a game. If you don't watch the game on a regular basis, and it's a 1-0 game, 2-1 game, could be the greatest game you've ever seen.
100%.
The greatest game you ever played. Craig Nettles made 3 incredible fucking plays in a World Series game back in the 77, 78.
Yeah.
They still talk about it.
Correct. Okay?
But nobody wants to see that.
Correct.
They want to see the ball go through. They want to see 2 or 3 guys come in on an inning. You want to see runs scored. This is the new generation that watches the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. But Frankie, I agree. See, to me, I don't care what the score of a game is. I want a good game. There could be games where, you get some good pitching, you get some good hitting. It's 7-5, and then there's a big home run, and then somebody comes back. So, to me, scoring runs, not scoring runs. Again, one of the best games I ever watched was game 4, game 3, maybe game 4 of the '96 World Series. Andy Pettitte, John Smoltz, 2-1. It was a great game. I've also watched games that were 10-9, like Frankie said, that were great games, back and forth.
I'm not saying, Tom, I'm not saying that these games can't be great games.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody's saying that. Okay, I just think that that's what Major League Baseball wants. Major League
Oh,
Baseball.
I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with that. I think you're 100% right. I think Major League Baseball wants 15, 14 games.
Being that this is life right here,
Yeah.
right in this little screen, that you could do anything you want with a phone nowadays. Or if you want to go a little bit bigger, you go with a tablet. It makes more excitement for people. And then if you're playing games, some of these video games look incredibly lifelike.
Yes.
And that's what's drawing these younger kids to some of these sports now, because they're definitely not going out to play it. That's for sure.
That's the other problem. And Frankie, I don't know. I would love if they went back to 2 separate leagues. Now, if you want to tell me the winner of the World Series plays the Japanese team for an international trophy, I think that would be great. One of the best things I watched this year was the international the 4-player tournament that the NHL did. That was great. Anytime you could do stuff like that, I think it's a blast. But I wouldn't want that to be the World Series. I want the World Series to be 2 American teams, American and National League. And then if you want to do a tournament at the end of the year, or maybe get the Taiwanese team, the Japanese team, I'm not a big fan of the international, whatever they call that league that they do every couple of years for baseball. Because it's done before, huh?
World Baseball League.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that because it's done before the season, and I think it's just it just doesn't mean anything to me. But if you want to tell me that the World Series champ of MLB plays the Japanese team in a tournament of a 3 out of 5, I think that would be fun. I would like that. That would be great. The question is, are you letting Shohei Ohtani and those guys go back to Japan to play? The answer should be no. You're playing a Japanese team who won their World Series, and those 2 teams play. I think that would be fun. But
let me ask you something. What would you think of this? Okay.
Holy shit! They closed down Isho Little League. Are you kidding? Wow.
Yeah. Well, kids don't come out of the house.
Yeah. No. You said it. Yeah. Wow.
Suppose they take the country, divide it into 4, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to keep American League and National League, and say, you know what, American League is going to be East West, National League is going to be North South.
Okay.
They're only going to be National and American League based on their geographical areas.
Yeah.
Okay. And then once the playoffs come, you just integrate all of the teams. So then maybe you end up getting a World Series like the Yankees versus the Red Sox if they're 2 good teams.
That's fine. Yeah.
Play.
Well, then, but then again, now you're intermingling what you don't want, what you don't want the interleague play. But so you're going to say that interleague play.
Well, no. There is no more interleague play. It's just play. You're going to play.
Okay.
The only reason that you're going to call it 2 different leagues is because you're splitting the country up into sections.
I got you. Okay.
East, West, North, South.
Okay.
Okay. And then this year way you put the teams accordingly, make 2 equal teams, equal leagues. And then you just let them play. At the end, top 8 teams in each league make the playoffs. We seed them 1 through 16. Okay, your first round's over. Reseed them again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Listen, that's interesting. It would be a fun for me. It would be a fun World Series to see the Yankees and the Red Sox, or maybe the Mets and the Braves in the World Series. And Frankie, yeah, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to baseball, but I don't mind a little innovation. I don't like interleague play now because I think it's gotten to be too much. I'd love to go back to the old leagues, but that's interesting, Jeff. And to be honest with you, Leonard, I'm a little sad right now to hear that East Shore. Yeah, Jeff, I got you. That East Shore Lily shut down. I mean, Frank Jeffrey, I think, played there. I know that Frankie Catalano played there. Joe Cloak, we all
played at least once there.
Yeah.
But Tom, once again, kids don't go out of the house and don't play.
No, I get it.
The price.
Yes.
Some of these things for kids to do, the price of gloves, cleats, the league itself, everything that you got to play, the uniforms that you have to buy. There's a lot of money that's involved. If you have 2 or 3 kids and they all want to play, that's a lot of money. And then the effort to get your kids there.
No, I get it. It's crazy, but listen, I came into East Shore Little League. It was 1973 or 4. I would say it's probably 74, 75. I was probably 8. I pay 8 and 9, then I pay 10, 11, and 12. So, but yeah, I mean, just the fact that it's closed, I mean, it just baffles me. I mean, I've gone by a few times over the years and watched an inning or two. It's obviously the field's changed. Everybody's, all the old timers are gone, but that's very sad.
Right, Frank. But you know what? These kids look in your neighborhood in the summertime. When is the last time that you saw kids, probably like yourself, when you were younger, playing wiffle ball out in the street?
Yeah.
Till it was dark and you couldn't see. I used to play every night on my block. They don't do that no more.
No, again, we all listen. Frank Jeffrey will tell you we were in our 20s and still going out on a weeknight and playing touch football under the lights on Olympia Boulevard. Dude, we did how many times on Ormond Place? Every
Sunday at the Newdorp High School.
Yeah,
we played for years.
Yeah, so we into almost 30 years old, we were still doing shit like that. So. Yeah, it's sad, and I don't know why it changed. Like, I just think parents got nervous about letting their kids play outside, and that's just it. But it's very sad to me that that's something that you don't think about. East Shore Lily, I would drive by sometimes and just see the teams playing, and you think back to the old days of, walking down. I remember walking down there for all-star practice and for championship games and so many great memories, and to think that now it's basically a travel league. It's kind of crazy. Capola gas station had a lot. Yeah, it did. There was some of the best football I ever got to play was on Olympia Boulevard, right off from McLaughlin. We play for hours. I mean, I'm not talking about a couple of passes. We would play for 2 or 3 hours. Different people showing up, different games, and still being competitive. I don't know, but it's sad to hear Atlanta, the Matty playground for me.
It's a shame. It's a shame. I think it was who was it? Frank Catalano, but they can buy a $70 video gun. Yeah, they can, because they don't want to leave the house.
Think about all the different places that we played. Kaltemeyer's was basically basketball.
Kaltemeyer's PS13.
Right.
It used to be hockey and basketball up there. The Matties, softball.
Yep.
Ormond Place, we used to play two-hand touch.
Yeah.
Football.
We played foot hockey on Ormond Place.
Yeah. I mean, using a golf club as a fucking hockey stick.
Yeah. I mean, think about all the different play. I mean, we used to play softball across from St. Mary's in that parking lot. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Against Matt Sozio and Jimmy Sleen and some of those guys, and we play automatics.
Yeah.
So
because if you hit Christine Morio's house, it was a
home run. Yes, I don't know if anybody ever did.
Mile away, nobody hit that.
Yeah, but I mean, it'd be 3-on-3, and here's a bunch of we were late, teenagers, 15, 16, and for hours we would go from one sport to the next and keep ourselves busy, and you play different streets. Let's play the guys from this block. We're going to play the guys from this neighborhood. I don't know.
I remember going down to PS 39.
Okay.
In South Beach.
Yep.
We'll play hockey. And
sure.
we were the only ones there. Mm-hmm. And we had the whole field, and somebody kept fucking shooting the puck the wrong way, and we have to run after the puck the whole length of the field, get the puck, bring it back.
Yes.
Jerk off to fucking shoot it back again.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. And Frankie, yes, Victor did run into a telephone pole. I think you're right. Yes, it was Victor. But yeah, so it's just a different time. I mean, I remember going to 39 at night on a Friday or Saturday night and bringing 3 cars into the parking lot, throwing the lights on so we could play basketball in the dark. I mean, that's how manic we were about sports. And again, today, if they're not playing in some gym with temperature controls and leagues and referees, you don't go to the park. I mean, in a city, you see it. I can't tell you out here. There's playgrounds everywhere. I don't see kids playing pick up basketball, anything.
They don't.
Frank Catalano, we all played there. We played. There wasn't a sport that we didn't play. I mean, to the point where Frank Jeffrey, I don't know. Can you remember going to 39 and just hitting fly balls for 2 hours? Just shagging fly balls. Dominic, Eddie Curtis, Victor, me, you. I mean, just shagging fly balls. I mean, we just did. Yeah, forget it, please. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you did have a hill to it. Yes.
Like
We can't.
they had a hill. You used to fucking throw the ball the wrong way.
Yes.
That was it. It was
Yeah.
all,
Well, if you stood at home plate, you couldn't see the legs of the left fielder.
yeah.
Yeah, East Shore, the one thing I didn't like about East Shore, and I understood why, but they never let you play on the field when they were in the off season. Like, we used to try to hop the fences and they would chase you out. We used to play football on there.
Yeah, we used to hop the fence and play football there a lot.
Sure. And Joe Cloak, yeah, sure. Caltemeyer, sure.
Ask Jimmy Taylor how his ankle's doing from that field.
They threw him over the fence.
Took his equipment and threw him over the fucking fence. How's that?
Very true. But yeah, it's a sad day. For me, that's very sad to hear about that. So I don't know. But hey, listen, the Torpedo Bats is not my thing. It's legal, and I don't think you're going to see any changes because MLB wants this to happen. They want home runs. They want 420-foot home runs with when you get to the point when you're talking about, I get it, Leonard. Exit velocity or velocity pitch velocity off a bat on a ground ball, you're really stretching. Oh, that ground ball to short was 119 miles an hour. It was a ground ball to short. I don't care how fast it was. It was ground ball to short. Yeah, Frankie, you ain't gonna tell me, man. We did it all. We did it all. So that's why I say all the time, Jeff. Kids today will never know the regret that they have on the way we grew up. Now, again, they got phones, they got computers and tablets and cable TV and satellite and Fire Sticks. They got it all. But we managed, to find each other without phones. We found a way to occupy our days with 3 channels. We found a way to stay outside and play sports 20 hours a day. And to me, that is something that my kids, my grandchildren will never be able to understand.
Oh, definitely fucking not, man.
Yeah, and how much fun it was to play sports all day, go home, shower, eat dinner, and then come back in out at night and just hang out on a corner with somebody going, "Hey, you put your radio on. Let's hear some music." It's just a completely that vibe of. I remember Frank Jeffrey will tell you guys, we would go down to Olympia Boulevard to the gas station on any Friday night, and you would find anywhere from 15 to 40 people down there listening to music, hanging out for hours. And nobody got in trouble. Nobody fought anybody. Nobody shot anybody. There wasn't drugs flying around. Oh, a little bit. But for the most part,
what were they fucking doing? Smoking weed?
That's it, pretty much. And I think that's something that our generation, I know that I appreciate that every single day of my life. I do. Go thinking about the hole in the fence down to South Beach and how you just knew Saturday night or Friday night you were going to meet all your buddies and go down there, and people knew, and you just that's something that our children and grandchildren will never be able to. Maybe it comes back around, Jeff. Who knows? But
nah, it ain't. Are you fucking kidding me? It's not.
See you, Frankie. But yeah, it is what it is. But listen, we got a half hour left. I do want to get to the summer concert series. Jeff did some homework, and every year we kind of break it out and see who's playing at Jones Beach and who's playing at the PNC, and it's basically all the same people. Jeff, the truth is, it's the same artist. They just bounce between all the different venues. Very rarely do you find somebody new, right?
Yeah, but I mean, listen, maybe there's a show that's booked somewhere that hasn't been announced yet or something.
Again, it's early. It's only April, but you would think that most of the concert series has been set up. They've got ticket sales. So, Jeff, you take it away. Run it the way you want. You want to give them all. You want to, however you want to do it.
All right, I'm going to start with the PNC Arts Center.
Go ahead.
And I'm just
when does PNC open up as far as the summer concert series?
It looks like Saturday, May 17th.
Okay, so you're a little before Memorial Day.
So I'm just going to go.
See you, Leonard.
See you later, Leonard. I'm only going to go over the bigger names. Okay, I'm not going to go over everyone. Friday, May 30th, Luke Bryan. I believe that's country.
Country music, yeah.
Nothing again till June 3rd, Dave Matthews Band. Friday, June 6th, Halsey. Friday, June 13th, Keith Urban. The Beach Boys the next night at June 14th.
They're going to be
Counting
100 years old.
June 28th, Counting Crows.
Okay.
Sunday, July 20th, Styx, Kevin Cronin, and Don Felder.
Kevin Cronin. He's not even going out as REO Speedway anymore, huh? Wow.
I guess not. Summer of Loud, Park Drive North, Killswitch Engage, I Prevail, and Beartooth. I've heard of some of those bands. Don't really know.
Killswitch Engage, ever heard of? The rest of it, never heard of.
I've heard of Killswitch and Park Drive North. The other ones I haven't. Friday, July 25th, Toto. Thursday, July 31st, Pantera. Friday, August 1st, Google Dolls and Dashboard Confessional. The Offspring on the 2nd, the Doobie Brothers on August 7th, Volbeat and Hailstorm, August 10th, Steve Miller Band, August 26th, Coheed and Cambria, August 29th, and that's that.
Wow.
A lot of people hate Dave Matthews, dude. I hear that one.
Yeah, me too.
Square Garden, not summer, but we got the Deftones. I'm not going to give dates on these. I'm just going to
run through it. Sure.
Run through it, okay? We got Kyle Yogi, Mary J. Blige, nothing. Possible basketball playoffs. I don't see nothing. I don't see anything. I'm into May. I don't see anything. I'm not even going to go to show more. Nothing to fucking write home about. Let's go over to the Potential Center.
Go ahead.
Mary J. Blige in April. Deftones also in April. Some UFC fights. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler on June 22nd. Wu-Tang. I can't stand Wu-Tang, and the only thing I like more than Wu-Tang is people that like Wu-Tang. They'll be playing July 17th. Fuck them.
Go ahead.
Katy Perry and her Juggadoons invade the Prudential Center on August 14th. And then their last show is the Queens. It looks like, well, actually, I don't know who it looks like. It looks like Gladys Knight and the Pips, maybe Shaka Khan. I don't know. Nothing to write home about. Then we got Jones Beach. Notice that nobody that you were like, wow, that's,
Yeah, no, I'm go ahead.
This is pretty much the same bands.
Yeah, I'm looking at Jones Beach schedule myself. Go ahead.
Halsey, Beach Boys, Creed. Oh, there's one we didn't see. Creed, July 15th. Cyndi Lauper, a Big Time Rush. I don't know who that is. I think that's a Disney band. The dude, Neil Young, Papa Roach with Rise Against, Suicide Boys with Bones. I don't know who that is. And Pierce the Veil, one of the gayer bands that I've ever heard of. And not one show by Metallica, Priest, Maiden, Megadeth, Overkill, nothing. No Def Leppard, no anybody.
Yeah. Wow.
It is rough, man. I remember I could do it next week. I have all my tickets, old ticket stubs, in a frame,
right,
in my room. I remember one summer going to see Maiden, Priest, Whitesnake. They opened up for Motley Crue. Unfortunately, I had to sit through them. Rush, and just countless bands. Overkill, countless bands that all played, and it was like, who do I go see this weekend? I only have enough money for one show. Who am I going to see? Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, Deep Purple, all bands that I saw in one summer.
Yeah.
And now it's like, you know what? Why do I want to go to a show? What is that? What is the incentive to go to a show?
Yeah.
When even Motley Crue's not playing.
Yeah.
Nothing from Poison. I don't know.
Yeah. It's funny, Joe, you're right. They should do, at this point in time, you'd probably be better off doing 10 shows around the country where you bring in, some of the bigger bands where they don't have to do 2 hours. You bring in Motley Crue and Def Leppard and, some of those bands, and you have a Monsters of Rock. I think you'd be better off with that than you would be with the announcement you have now. Bands can come out, they could do 40 minutes, play their big numbers and move on. What's the problem with that?
Here's the problem with that, and I'll tell you what the problem is, okay? Is it a good idea? It'd be a great idea. because you would get to see bands. You get bands gathered up, let them go out there and play. The bands you're naming, 2, 1 are going to be bands that people our age are going to go see.
Right.
And there's not many people our age that want to go for hours at a time and sit and watch some of these bands in the middle of the summertime when it's 90-something fucking degrees out in a stadium.
Okay.
Do you realize the price of going to see, let's just say, the following bands? Let's do the following bands, okay? Maiden, Priest, Metallica. That's big ones right there, okay?
Right.
Then let's say Motley Crue, Def Leppard. Now you're up to 5.
Go ahead.
Let's give it 2 more, okay?
Yeah.
Let's say, I don't even know who you would say is a second tier. Let's say Black Label Society.
Right.
Okay? Yeah, you're up to 6. Come up with one more band. Give me a band. Anybody. Somebody decent.
Journey.
All right. I don't see them fit on that bill, but okay. Journey. 7 bands.
So what's his name? Sammy Hagar's band.
Sammy Hagar. Okay. What is the price that you're paying for that ticket?
Probably
7 bands. It starts at 12.
All right. So let's say it was $400 to get into that show.
Okay. $800 for you and your wife to go to that show.
Okay, but think about this. I paid $800 for me and my wife to go see Elton John by himself.
That's Elton John.
But again, I'm saying, I also, when we went to see Maiden the last time, those tickets were $350 each. So if you could tell me I could go see all of those bands one day instead of going to 7 different concerts to see them, I'd have to think about it, because it'd be better to do that. Now, again, sitting in the heat for 5 hours or 7 hours or whatever it takes, I would, I'm just saying this from a monetary standpoint, I would pay $600-700 for that show, because I'm going to see everybody in one shot, as opposed to going 6 or 4 or 5 different shows at $300 a piece.
One, that's a lot of money.
I agree. I'm not saying it's not.
A lot of time to be sitting there watching bands like that. And I did it
once in my entire life. I went to K-Rock Dysfunctional Family Picnic. I've said that 100 times on this show. And I was there from 11 in the morning till midnight. I was there. I saw every band. I stayed through from Mudvayne right through Creed at the end. I saw Ozzy, Limp Bizkit, everybody along the way. Godsmack. I saw them all. It was a great show.
Godsmack. Good thing you brought. I heard rumor that 2 guys left Godsmack.
I heard the same. In fact, I think it's in Blabbermouth. Yes, I heard the same thing.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was great to do. I probably would never want to do that ever again. Especially not at this age, where What
did you feel like the next day?
Oh my God, I have to take a month off of work and lay in bed for a week.
I'll tell you what happened to me. I went to Ozfest one time with Joey. Okay, we went there because he had to take his nieces and nephews there to Ozfest, and he went there, opened up the door, let them in, and then came back out in the parking lot. We were drinking all day, as responsible, and then lying to Tony and Diane that their kids were fine, but we didn't know where they even were. We just knew they were on the other side of this gate. So anyway, we go there. It was about 100 degrees. They had these cooling tents. So I was a little smaller at the time. So what I do, I took my shirt off. I have my phone and my wallet. I'm sticking it outside the tent, and I'm just standing under the tent, just getting wet, just wet. Okay. Yeah. Walking around the rest of the day, with wet clothes, wet underwear, wet shirt, sucked. I didn't know how bad it sucked until the next day. And I woke up. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I can't put my legs together. And then I got a mirror and I looked, and I had these white fucking patches. White. They look like somebody cut pieces of mozzarella and put them on each side with the irritation and God only knows what the fuck else it was. All I know is that I was completely fucked, and I couldn't even lay with my legs together. I had to lay with nothing on in my house the next day. The next day was shot, completely shot. It sucked. Yeah. I would never, ever do that again where I'm out there for fucking that long, man. Never.
Yeah, I would tell you that I would probably, and I've had opportunities to go. There's the one in Maryland. I can't think of the name of the festival. I don't think they do it anymore, but that was a huge one for a while. They had the one in Oklahoma. There was one in Maryland that all the bands were doing for years, and I think that one went away. They just weren't getting the turnout. And
I think I heard of that one in Oklahoma.
That was going on for years. It was all the big metal bands and a lot of other bands. But there was
Lollapalooza, right?
No. It was a metal one. I can't think of the name of it, but there was another one in Maryland, and I wanted to go to that. And in fact, somebody who was on our show was part of that, and they said if we wanted to go, they would get us, get tickets, and I'll get you backstage for during our show. And I never did it. I'm trying to Rocklahoma. That's it. That's the one that Frankie's talking about. But there was another one in Maryland that they did. And somebody who was on this show, I don't remember. I'm trying to think of who it was. It was somebody that I was semi-friendly with, and I would talk to off the air once in a blue moon. And they're like, "Oh, we're playing, and if we're gonna be there, and I'll get you backstage. During our set, you can come out, you can come backstage, just get a ticket." And it was so unappealing that I just said, "I don't want to do it." It wasn't like, "Oh my God, that's great," and I can't. And that's 10 years ago. 8 years ago. Today, the thought of sitting in a stadium for 9 hours, 10 hours, just is like, hell no.
No fucking way.
Yeah. So, but, I don't know. Like, it's like anything else. I sit there and complain there's no shows, and there's a few shows, and then one of these days there won't be any, and you're going to go, fuck, I should have went to some of those shows.
Yeah, but none of those shows are shows that you could say,
no.
See it.
No, put it this way. There's not one show on there that I'll go, I should have went to that show when it's all said and done. No, I won't.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So, I mean, Maiden's coming. We're going to go see Maiden. Okay? Whoever wants to go. The Spinal Tap movie's coming out September. We're all going to see Spinal Tap. Frankie, Joe, we're going to do hopefully there's a theater in Jersey showing it, but we're all going to go to see Spinal Tap. And hopefully we'll go see Maiden. Together, maybe that would be a fun day to kind of meet at the Maiden show and do that together. So we'll do stuff like that. But otherwise, I can't think of too many other shows that I'm desperate to go see. So I got to be honest with you. I was just curious what was playing. I will go see Kid Rock. I've become a big Kid Rock fan, and I will go see Kid Rock the next time he's around. I like the Yacht Rock Review. Let me tell you something. Those guys are great. We interviewed the lead singer from the Yacht Rock Review. His name was he's from Wisconsin. My God, that's what Nespertiri, very nice guy, big football fan.
I remember that name.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I don't remember who it was, but
I'd have to look it up. But he was actually a good guest. I didn't know when Nicky was the producer at the time, and he said, "You're going to interview Yacht Rock Review." I thought it was a magazine. I thought it was a magazine. I had no idea who they were. I've actually seen them on TV now. Like PBS plays their concerts once in a while, and it's fantastic. I mean, the songs, everything you'll go, that song sucks. And it's all stuff that when you're in the radio, you're in the car and you listen to Sirius or whatever, and it pops up. I have the Yacht Rock on my Sirius. I play it all the time. It's stuff you listen to, and they are fantastic. That band is absolutely amazing. So, Frank, I would go see them in concert. So that's for sure.
You could say whatever you like about the Yacht Rock stuff, okay?
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't care if you like it or not, you listen to it or not. It's stuff that we grew up with, our parents listened to it. It was the stuff that was on 70s radio.
Sure, absolutely, all the time.
You know all of the songs.
Yeah.
You know all of them because you were forced to listen to them. Because when you were 8, 9 years old, you couldn't turn around and you didn't know what was on the radio because that's all you heard was whatever your parents did. And they weren't going to let you listen to the radio anyway. I remember asking my mother and father, I'm like, do me a favor, please. Put on WPLJ on the stereo for me. I don't know where it is. And they were like, yeah, okay. When it was a rock station. To this day, I'm still waiting.
Yeah, no, yeah. That's funny, yeah. No, I'm with you. I listened to that. We're in the car. There was one channel. It was WCBS FM. That's the only channel my dad listened to. Didn't matter what time of the day, unless the Yankees were on. If the Yankees were on and we were going a long distance, we'd have the Yankee game on in the car. Otherwise, it was CBS FM, and that's what you listen to driving home every day.
That had to be fucking rough, man, because back then, baseball games were on AM radio.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. and you had that weird sound in the back. You couldn't get it in right. You were trying to find the spot of just the right. Yes,
static from the fucking traffic lights and shit.
Absolutely, yeah. So it was interesting, but that's what we did. That's what we listened to. No, nothing else. So
yeah, that was sad.
That's what we listened to.
Fucking sad.
That is what we listened to. But yeah. So listen, I'm not holding out hope, but there are a few concerts that I would, again, Kid Rock I will go to see. I never got to see him live.
I did. I saw him live.
I would have loved to see REO Speedwagon. I was a huge REO Speedwagon fan, even though really I like one album. But I would love to have seen them. But I don't think there's anybody left but Kevin Cronin at this point.
When I saw Kid Rock with Leonard Skinner.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I lasted about 10 minutes for fucking Kid Rock, and I was out.
By the way, the Yacht Rock Review guys are going to be in Asbury Park in August. Let's see. I just saw it.
Frank Catalano, what is
the
team?
Only August 2nd for Yacht Rock Review. I got to get tickets to that.
The Phillies? Is that what the big team is down there where you are? Wherever that is?
Say again?
No, I'm asking Frank Catalano. Oh. He says that he can't get the Mets. They're on 880, and he can't even hear them down there. I'm asking him, like, so what is the team down there? The Phillies?
Frankie's not far from me, so I mean he should be able to get the Mets.
Jersey turns quick, man. I remember like when we're driving. I know Mets 880 radio, but what is the team that your area roots for down there? Is it the Phillies?
Yeah, it's on the border. It's a little further down. Like it's still New York country where Frankie is, but you get a little further down south. Like you start getting past like the Jersey Shore, and next thing you know, it's all Philly fans.
Yeah, because I know that it changes down there.
It does. It does. Let's see. So Yacht Rock Review. I'm not going to the. No, that's. Let's see. Asbury Park, August 2nd. The Rooftop at Pier 17, August 1st. East Patchogue. Let's see. Anything in Florida? I'd love to go to Florida and see them play. Let's see. Anything in Florida? Jacksonville's a shithole.
Jacksonville, Florida?
Yeah, Jacksonville's a shithole. Destin, Florida. That's basically by Panhandle, all that, or April 24th. That's like Margaritaville and all that place. A lot of Eagles fans. Yeah, Rich, I love Kid Rock. My brother checking in from California land doesn't check it too often. Blue Claws, Joe. Yes, good team. Get your hat. Gotta get your hat for them. What hat? Frankie, what hat are you talking about? Again, Hard Rocket Sports at Chef, and I'm Tom. We're here every Thursday night. We do this as a hobby, but we love doing it. And we're here. We get back to do this every Thursday with you. And we're looking forward to the April 27th NFL Draft Show. So make sure you stick around for that. And come July, we'll be back with the training camp show and our start of our 11th year. Oh, the captain hat. Yes, the captain hat. That's funny. Yeah, Yacht Rock Review. I'm going to tell you that is some good stuff. Those guys are amazing. His guy's name was Nefertiti's. That's his name. It was Dave Nefertiti's. Good guy, big Packer fan, and a good guest on the show. By the way, I just sent out a request for my first guest in about 3 years. I can't remember the last time although I did try to get Joe Klecko. I thought I had Klecko a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. But I'm trying to get Blackley Lawless on the show. He's doing a lot of shit.
Yeah, I'm sure you may be able to get him too.
I just said something to his manager and his PR people. So we'll see if we get Blackley Lawless.
I don't know if he's going to be the kind that you want on the show. I think he's a big Catholic feller now.
Yes. Oh no. He's definitely found Jesus. I didn't know Jesus was missing, but he found him wherever he was. I don't think he actually sings like the words. Yeah, I think he goes past the words of that song. I don't know if they even do that song anymore. But yes, he's a born again Christian and all that stuff. He's a big conservative and all that. But listen, he's a Staten Island guy, which I didn't know till not too long ago. And I'd like to, see, get to have him on the show.
Yeah.
I said that I haven't said that many requests in the last few years, but Joe Klecko was one, and now that one, and yeah, Frankie, I might go to. Oh, he's a dick, is he, Frank? Really? Blackie, really?
Wallace.
I wouldn't doubt it, but can you get these? I tried for D. Snyder. The only one we had JJ French on the show. He was very cool.
I don't know about D. Snyder. I know AJ Perro is out. He will not be coming on the show.
No, he will not be getting AJ Yachtly Crew. I don't know who Yachtly Crew is, but yeah, I would like to get D on. I don't know if I've ever tried. Like I said, we had JJ French. He was a great guest. I don't think you were on with me that day. I don't think you were doing the show with me full time then. Because that goes back to when AJ Perro died.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You were doing just, I think, CD reviews at that point.
I was a peon.
We lad at that point, but yeah, that was a great interview because we got not only
the things I had to do in the mailroom to get on the air full time was unbelievable. I discussed myself.
Yes, you were disgusted. Cece DeVille, we thought we had Nikki had Cece DeVille. We were this close, and then he backed out. So now it's like impossible, guys. There's so many different live stream podcasts.
Would anybody even want CC DeVille at this point in time?
You know what? I don't know. We used to. What was the name of the drummer from Rat that we had on? I had him on like 4 times, and in fact, it might have been him, huh?
Bobby Blotzer.
Bobby Blotzer. I think it was Bobby Blotzer who invited me to go to that Maryland show because I was talking to him off the air. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to be there. I think was playing. I don't know if it was Rat or his version of Rat that was playing at the show. And he's like, come down to the show. I'll get you backstage. I'm pretty sure it was Blotzer. He was very nice to me for a while. And then also he disappeared.
You know, when a rock star like that is talking about getting you backstage at his show, I would be leery of that. Tom, I've seen you with tight pants on. All right.
I don't think
it was bad intentions there.
Yeah, it's very possible, but I'm
bad intentions.
I'm sure it wasn't Bobby Platz's.
He definitely was. You would definitely not going to be sitting on his shoulders. That's for sure.
That's for sure. But yeah. So I mean, but I have tried. So yeah, you know what it is. I've said I want to send out some stuff for Rick Emmett again. I know that there's been some rumors that Triumph's going to play a show or two. I've tried for both members of Rush. Never heard back. I'm gonna try for Harry Shearer or Derek Smalls again. I thought I had him on the hook. So,
Geddy Lee. I've been watching a lot of snippets. He was interviewed by Mike Wallace.
Yes,
it was for 60 minutes.
Yes.
I don't know if you would ever get Geddy Lee, and if you could get Geddy Lee, I don't even know where would you start to talk to Geddy Lee, because you could talk baseball with Geddy Lee.
Yeah.
You could talk music with Geddy Lee.
Yeah.
You could talk. He had something to do with wine. I know he was his own wine, and he had something to do with Jewish history because he's Jewish, and he had a lot of people in his family.
Yeah, his mother was a Holocaust survivor.
Yeah. So I mean, you however long you could get him is not enough time.
No, and again, I'll always say Geddy Lee's one of the people who gave me the inspiration for this show, because his interview where him and Alex Lifeson were at a baseball game and were awestruck because of Mike Piazza, and Mike Piazza was awestruck because they were sitting there, and the conversations that went back and forth and how big of baseball fans they were. That was the inspiration for let's get guys on the show who are, let's say, sports fans and talk music and musicians and talk sports. To me, that was kind of the inspiration for doing this. At this point, I don't want to run to interview anybody anymore, but I would like to get back into, if we could get people, but it's so impossible to get. I mean, when I got KK Downing, it was like he was begging to come on the show. After I tried to get him a second time, they wanted everything from my Social Security account. How many people have walked by your house every day? It's like it was like they wanted it. There's so many shows now that it's impossible for people to get people, because their attention's everywhere. So
Yeah, because when they're looking to boost their career up again because they got no place and they got nothing going on, they don't want to just start at the bottom and work their way up again. They don't have time for that.
Frankie, I think I tried for every member of those kind of bands. Anthrax. We had one guy. What was the drummer we had on from the one that used to use the punching bag? What's his name? I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, I don't know who you. Off the top of my head, I don't know who you're talking about. To be honest with you,
I could see his face, but I can't think of his name. Anyway, I can't tell you how many times for 5 or 7 years, I must have emailed and talked to so many guys, and it was maybe yes, no, I'm not sure. I got into it this week because I went back and re-listened to the Lita Ford interview all over again, and I found the tease my brother did for us from the Carmine Appice. Carmine Appice was a great guest, but the guy didn't shut up.
There's a couple of those that we've had that just took a deep breath and never stopped.
Well, that was one of those things you could. Joe Cloak, I tell you what, if you could get John Lisa on the show, I would interview him tomorrow. Jeff.
Look, Joe Cloak, let me tell you a quick one about John Lisa. Last time I saw him, I bumped into him at the convenience store in Rosebank. I saw him, and I was like, John. And he looked at me. He almost shit his pants because he's been running around saying stuff that we were bashing him because of his sexual orientation. And I was like, what's the matter? I says, I heard you're mad at us. He's like, oh, no, I'm not mad at you. Everything's good. Everything's good. I got to go, man. I got to go. I'll catch up with you. See you later. And that was it. He ran away. And, listen, whatever he chooses to do is, I heard he plays a mean skin kazoo. I don't know how true that is, but.
Well, again, there's no issue with us and John Lisa. So, and Joe, Frankie, if you could get Frankie Bello, I'm thrilled to talk to any of them. I mean, we had Pooch on. We've had plenty of local and national celebrities, and it's just
my nephew works with Mike Pooch.
They
work
yeah,
in the water department together. Yeah, they're good friends too.
Yeah, I would say John Lisa was an interesting bird when we grew up. I can't even imagine where it's gone to at this point in time. So I don't know. The only one I know who spoke to him semi-regularly, Jimmy Galicchio and Paul. And even Paul says he hasn't heard from him in a while.
Yeah. Well, listen, whatever. I don't know what his problem was, and I don't think we ever really went out of our way to fuck with him.
No. I gotta be honest with you. I had no idea as a kid which way he leaned politically.
He played the bagpipes.
I had no idea. It didn't matter. Like, it never even dawned on me that he would run around people's house naked, hitting people with loaves of bread. Never even,
Best John Lisa story I ever heard was he came out with a black flag shirt on, and on the cover of the shirt, on the front of the shirt, was a nun holding a guy's arm like this, and his father saw the shirt and fucking ripped the shirt off his body.
Oh, really?
In the middle of the street, and ripped his shirt off and left his son there with no shirt on, with them giant supple boobies of his.
Yes, that was
good stuff.
That was interesting. Good stuff. Good stuff. That was interesting. But again, I'm always for the guesting. It's been so hard to get people on because again, there's so many. Every celebrity, every trade paper. Everybody's got a show. You basketball players, everybody's got one. So there's no incentive to come on shows. When we started doing this, there weren't that many, and people were trying to get to the internet and get their word out. We had over 200 interviews, and it's impressive the people we talked to. But it's been so long that I've just gotten up to the point where I've said, screw it. We used to have 3 guests a show.
Well, that was when we had Nikki as the fucking thing.
No, that was Joey. That was Joey. Nikki was 1 or 2, but Joey was 3 every week, and I was like, I'm done with that.
Nikki was booking enough people. I remember we used to have to tell him, like, Nick, we want to do other things on the show.
Well, it was like the idea was we wanted to do this. We wanted to talk for part of the show.
Yeah, interview people. Talk football or music, and Nikki was like, you got 3 people on, 2-3 people. And be like, who the fuck are these people? Like, we don't even know who they are. Yeah, well, they're going to give us so-and-so in the future. And here it is, years later, we still didn't get so and so yet. So.
Yeah, no, listen. So like, at this point, but Frank Catalano, if Pooch could get Frankie Bello, we'd be happy, thrilled to talk to the guy. These are guys we grew up listening to, and it got to the point where I was tired of talking to Jeff Tate. We must have interviewed him 4 times. I got to the point where I was tired of talking to the guy.
Yeah, well,
and he was a douche on top of it. Yeah. So anyway, I send out the occasional letter, email, I should say, and to try to grab a guest. But we like talking to you guys more, and we look forward to doing it each week. But back to the summer concert series. If the best thing on the summer concert series is the Yacht Rock review, I would tell you, it's not much to talk about. Joe Cloak, I don't know if he ever looked disgusted, John Lisa. I would just say he was the oddest bird I ever hung out with, and I hung out with some odd birds.
Who looked disgusted?
He said John Lisa always looked disgusted.
Oh, well, wouldn't you be? Think of look at it this way. As you were growing up as a young lad in Rosebank, Joseph,
yep.
And when a young lady caught your fancy, and you were like, man, I would love to go out with her, and I'd love to do this to her and everything else. And meanwhile, John Lisa saw you and you caught his fancy, and there was just nothing he could do about it. And imagine being stuck in that world where, like, I want this guy so bad, but, I can't even get him to play wiffle ball on my block so I can watch him take his shirt off or something. And if he did, he was like, I got to go to the bathroom. He ran upstairs into his bathroom, and he's looking out the front window, rubbing one out.
He never had a problem taking his clothes off. I would tell you that. We had a room full of guys, and he never had a problem stripping down to being naked. So I would tell you, I saw it on a few occasions. Joe Cloak, Jeff Tate can still sing. I saw him live in Red Bank with his band. They were doing all Queensryche stuff, and he sounded good. And I don't know if there was any enhancements, but he still sounded good. He wasn't Jeff Tate from 1984, but he was good. I enjoyed it. But we've interviewed him. We interviewed him 3, if not 4 times, and I'm telling you, I passed on 2 other times to talk to him. So, Joe, what him naked? Yeah, Jeff. How many times did we have to chase John Lisa away or hit him with stuff because he was running around naked in somebody's house? At least 2 or 3 times that I can think off the top of my head. There was one time, I don't know if it was his house or Nikki. We were playing cards. It must have been at his house he lived on Clifton, Virginia. Okay. And we were doing something, and he went to another room, came back out, and he was I'm not talking about wearing underwear. He was naked, and somebody was beating him with a loaf of Italian bread, and he was laughing, but he was buck, absolute naked in a room full of guys.
I think he came.
It was a raw. I'm not talking that there was 4 or 5 women hanging around or girls hanging around with a bunch of guys. This was a sausage fest of a bunch of guys in a room drinking beer, playing cards at like 12 in the afternoon, and he was naked. Was he high? Absolutely not. I would tell you, absolutely not. There was nothing crazy going on but a few beers. He was not naked. He was not drunk. He was not high. He was just naked in a room full of men. That's it.
You're asking. Listen, far be it for me to say it's okay nowadays. The law and order shit stops here, bro. We're not answering anymore. See, look at this. What is this? He's got the reporter's pad writing this down. He does. You know what I'm going to go do right now?
What are you do?
Taking the dog out because I got to administer a pounding in a little bit.
Well, you go take your dog out. I will close up the show, and I will have the everything set and ready for you when you get back in. So, guys, we're going to wrap it up right here.
I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
You got it. We'll see all you guys next week. I thank Joe Cloak and
you guys, man.
Frank, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on in Rosebank back in the 80s. So I can tell you, there was a lot of crazy shit going on. But so
I gotta go. I can't be part of this no more. This is not good. Not good. I didn't partake in this. I want to.
You were there. Don't tell me you didn't partake. You were partaking anyway. But no, there was a lot of crazy shit, and we'll get more into it next week. But we got to wrap this one up for this week anyway. So thank you all you guys for tuning in and listening in. Thank you for everybody for participating, And we look forward to doing it all over again next week. So for Jeff Tomwinski and myself and everybody in Hard Rock and Sports, we say have a great rest of your night, great rest of your week, a great weekend, a great next week. And we'll see you back here next Thursday night when the Hard Rock and Sports Show does it all over again. So for Jeff Tomwinski, myself, and everybody in Hard Rock and Sports, have a great night, everybody. I'll see you off the air. Joey, Frankie, thank you guys. Love you both. I'll talk to you off the air. Take care. Thanks, guys.